E.T., is that you? Nope, it's just me, your local friendly Arcturian. Welcome back to the Luminary Podcast. I am your host, Annie Perry, sometimes in other dimensions referred to as Commander Lightbringer. It's so weird to say that title here, and of course you guys know that there really are no names, especially the higher in the dimensional planes that you go, there are no names, and so it's just ways to refer to ourselves, and really it's just for this dimension. But it is out of all of my many lifetimes and different names and different things that I have been called, it is by far one of my favorite and the one that I hold so much honor and reverence and gratitude, appreciation, the deepest, widest love for that part of myself and my soul journey that gets to go to planets and assist with Ascension. It is the honor of my many lifetimes to be here with you now. There are 383 ascending planets, and so many different places that I could be. Nothing would shock me if there aren't other versions of myself on those planets, but I do like the thought of I could be so many other places in the whole universe, and yet I choose to be here with you, doing this work and reminding you of who you really are. Guiding whoever will allow me through Ascension, as I have been guided by my many mentors, some of them non-physical and some of them in this physical dimension. And it is just the ripple effect of the universe that we live in. All is one. So this episode is like the last episode. This is a long time coming. It is no secret on this podcast that I identify highly in this lifetime as Arcturian because many of my soul missions are coming directly from Arcturian Galactic Command on the starship called the Lightbringer. Aha, that must be where I got that name from. And that is my home ship. That is my sending ship. They have sent and facilitated and helped me to organize so much of this mission and helped me to understand how it could unfold, how I could be of service. They have been there every single step of the way in this lifetime since I was a child, all the way to, of course, now and many future episodes where I plan to bring them on and to channel the council, the 90 council, directly from my sending ship, the Lightbringer. We'll get lots of juicy, amazing, incredible, up-to-date details about the Arcturians and the different starships. Of course, there are many, and the mission and how everything is going here on Earth. I have already been given a message, though, before we even get into the book that I will be sharing today, We the Arcturians by Dr. Norma Milanovich. This was channeled way back in the 80s. I'll give you all the details before we jump into the book, but I have been already given a message, and that message is coming from the Archangel dimension, so 7th density consciousness. Many of the Archangels were in charge of architecting and facilitating how this ascension on Earth was going to go. We will be hearing also from Archangel Ariel when I read a portion of their book, which is called What is Light Body? Absolutely incredible. Obviously, these are books that I've read, and so I encourage you guys to go out there and explore the ones that you feel called to, the ones that you feel drawn to, because it means that they've got messages for you. And the messages that I have for you today, right now, from the 7th density consciousness, the Archangels, is everything is going so well. It is all going so incredibly well with Ascension. It is going so far beyond well in terms of how it could have gone on this planet. And there is just this absolute love and divine pleasure at seeing the unfolding, and so much of that is because of you. It is you. It is because you came here. And I know that I attract the alien group because I am the alien, and And so it is because of you. It is because of you being a starseed, a light worker, a light leader, all of these different healers that have come. You are shining your light in so many different ways. And this huge mass wave of light workers came to this planet and awoke and began to shine their light. All of you awoke at different points and began your unfolding at different points. And so it is all divine. It is all perfect. It is all perfectly unfolding for the highest and greatest good of all that has always been at the core of our missions. Past, present, future, parallel, all is now. That has been at the core of every mission, that it would be for the highest and greatest good of all, no matter how things turn out. No matter how it goes, if it went sideways, it would still be at the heart of our mission, that it was for the highest and greatest good of all. And things are going so incredibly well. And it is also for the highest and greatest good of all here on this planet. And what they mean by well is with so much less turmoil and conflict than was expected. You might think that there is conflict on this planet right now. It is a fraction of potential timelines that were at play, especially in the 80s and 90s when these different texts were being channeled to us. And so they saw those potential timelines and they began to increase their work. They began to come up with new strategies. They began to send a lot of these channeled texts in order to awaken starseeds and lightworkers who were beginning to infiltrate the planet. Both of the texts that I'm going to read in the upcoming episodes were channeled before I was born into this incarnation. I had a lifetime that I exited early in the 80s and decided to return back in 1991. And that choice was because that choice had a lot to do with the potential timelines at play. I was on a potential timeline. I would have been probably in my late 40s, early 50s, and me and my oversoul just decided that we were going to cut out early and come back and join in the work at a really, really critical point and allow myself a little bit more time here to be in the critical point. So there was a lot of rearranging that happened in the 80s, and that's why so many channeled texts are from the 80s and into the 90s. We have the Law of One channeled transcripts, we have What is Light Body, we have We the Arcturians. I think in the late 90s is when the Pleiadians started channeling text to the planet. Maybe I will bring a couple of those into the podcast. You guys can let me know what you think of these episodes, because I'm primarily going to be reading, and of course, I have an opinion about everything. So I'll be sharing some of my opinions and personal insights. And the Arcturian one is absolutely going to be a bit of a series. There's two different sections of the book that I feel called to read to you guys and to share those transmissions and downloads. You're going to feel very activated during them. You might even, if you are connected with the Arcturians, you might even start to have contact with the Arcturians. You might still start to feel them entering into your field or trying to, get your attention. But what I'd love to do is I'd love to read the sections of the book that I feel called to, and then of course have an episode where I go into trance channeling and ask a bunch of questions so we can get a little bit more updated current guidance and information on everything that is happening now. Because of course, this book specifically, We the Arcturians, A True Experience by Dr. Norma J. Milanovich with Betty Rice and Cynthia Plosky. They were a group of three women who channeled the Arcturians through many, many, many different sessions, starting in 1984, and this book was published, I believe, in 1990, and so they compiled all of the transcripts together, organized them with the Arcturians into something that would have a very profound effect on the readers. Now, what's interesting is that for many years after I already knew I was connected with the Arcturians and I knew that they were my sending galactic family into this lifetime, and they were going to play a huge role as my guides in this lifetime, for a long time I did not feel called to read this book. I didn't. And I've asked them many times, should I read that book? Should I read that book? And it came to me at the right time and the right moment. And I realized immediately that the reason my sending ship never really encouraged me to read it is because it's actually about a different ship. And it doesn't mean that it's any less. It just means that it is more like reading a book for me about my siblings' life. It's more like reading a book about my siblings' house and where they're from and their home and all of that. And because literally one of my sisters is from the Athena, and that is what this book is about. It is about the Athena starship, and we are going to be reading the chapter about the starship today. It is filled with information that's going to blow your mind. Some of it you're going to get, some you're not going to get. Some of it is funny. Arcturians have a great sense of humor. It is a little bit of a dry sense of humor, so there's some sarcasm in there, which is my sense of humor, so it just all is lovely and makes sense. There are some parts that are going to make you feel uncomfortable. And what's interesting is that they address the discomfort that you may have felt at the very end of the chapter. And they really guide you through it and encourage you to find new ways to interpret your version of reality, which is so incredibly helpful and wise of them. And I really encourage you to listen all the way to the end, because the second to last portion of this chapter, they talk directly about the ones who were sent to Earth. And that was such an emotional portion for me to read. I think I cried for like an hour after that and was just talking in Arcturian light language. And, you know, the very inner child of me was like, I want to go home. I want to go home. And of course, the wiser part of me that is here on this mission, the commander, is like, we do not truly want to leave. We just want to feel that connection to home. And it was just it was the most heartfelt, loving thing that they wrote in this book. And in many ways, I feel, I'm already tearing up. I feel that it was the thing that I needed to hear the most, and I go back and I reread that portion all the time. And so I think for a lot of you, no matter where you're from, no matter what ship sent you, no matter what galactic family, no matter if you feel like you came from the moon, it doesn't matter. You are going to really feel the love, and you're going to feel so seen and so heard by them. And that, to me, is what we are all so desperately looking for in those dark moments of being a starseed on a different planet, of being the wanderer, of being the alchemist on the journey and going so far from home. And you just want that connection back to home and to feel seen and to feel heard. So I really encourage you to listen all the way to the end. It is quite a lot of information, but just let it all sink in. Just let it all sink in. So these are the 35 sections of the starship called the Athena that is parked right outside Earth's atmosphere at all times, along with many other ships. And the one that is directly channeling from the Athena is an Arcturian called Herdonautic, the language expert of the Athena. And so we start first with the Commander's Bridge. First, let us describe the Commander's Bridge. It is oval in shape, and it is in this position for a particular reason. The Commander's Bridge is where all major decisions are made. Therefore, it is fitting that it should follow a curved shape and not one with many angles and points. The point of power is within one's consciousness, and it is the wisest beings who understand that all energy flows in a circular form. When one surrounds oneself with this form of energy, the function of this measurement is increased many times over. The Commander's Bridge has access to every division and component of the starship throughout its vast computer systems. I use the term computer systems loosely, For in reality, we have long outgrown the use of computers. If I initially gave you the name of our information system, it would not be of any use, for you could not imagine what the system would be like. Our computer system is called the Hyperpropulsion System, for its interconnections with the main components of the ship's operating systems. It is operated by the power source of crystals that do not come from your planet. These crystals come from another planet that is many light years away from yours, in a constellation that has not yet been discovered by Earth's scientists. The crystals have a means of attracting and conducting the light energy from the great central sun, and they operate the ship by the means of the locomotion and motion factor. The crystals are also of a vibrational frequency that attract the positive and negative energy forces, which allow the propulsion of the matter/antimatter gravitational pulls to flow through the various aspects of time and space. The commander's bridge is in the bottom area of the ship. The bridge is situated there because, in the design of our vessel, that places it in a central location, allowing it to draw from all of the energy sources on the ship. Areas surrounding the bridge are mainly those of living quarters, storage, etc. All main energy sources are equally distant from the bridge in a circular fashion. This allows the support systems to interconnect with one another and to support the central control headquarters, which is the commander's bridge. This creates a circular flow of energy and provides for more efficiency in the operation of the ship. This design is especially helpful for tracking problems, such as in the flowing of currents that support our life systems. Every system is interdependent, and if a problem occurs, we are able to move very quickly in a circular fashion to determine where blockages may occur. This design becomes an important safeguard for our survival. The bridge has viewing screens all around it, but has no windows. There is no need for windows as we transcend time and space. We see with our telepathic abilities and with the instruments and technologies that are within our vessel. We also have equipment that allows us to view beyond the walls of the ship without having to use a camera to gather images. The bridge supports only the crew that have the rank to be in that area. The bridge is the smallest of areas and contains the most efficient systems to support all of the ship's needs. Whether one is worthy of these positions is determined by the vibrational frequency of that individual being. The colors that support the vibrational frequency are similar to your colors of blue, blue-violet, and red. These must be balanced in our essence, and when they are integrated into the design of the ship's structure. This integration is only evident in the ship's bridge. Within the energy force field of this area are certain symbols and vanishing points of energy that detect any frequency that is not in alignment with the structure of the bridge. When this occurs, the individual being who is intruding becomes very ill and can even lose consciousness. The contrast of the energy sources and forces causes this to occur. This provides protection for this area of the ship, for there is no area more important than this one. This will conclude our introductory section about our commander's bridge. We would now like to describe the reuniting parcel. Let's pause there for a second, and I want to introduce the commander of the Starship Athena. They are in Arcturian referred to as Giuliano, and there are many sections of this book where they directly channel through and send messages, I believe especially when they're talking about the mission of the Arcturians. Giuliano and their crew are all fifth dimensional Arcturians, and they have the ability to change their rate of vibration down to fourth dimension and then down to third dimension. And so they've had a lot of activity here on this planet. When I call the Arcturians to come and visit me, like they gave me that light show out in the desert last September 2023, they gave me this beautiful light show and we were having a great time until a plane came. And those ships are coming directly from the Athena and from these fifth dimensional Arcturians. And so the Arcturian ship, the Lightbringer that I am from, and the 9D Council are obviously 9th dimensional Arcturians. Because of their faster rate of vibration, that is why the Lightbringer stays next to Arcturus, and that is why the Athena has the ability to come here and work directly with Earth, because Earth is in 3rd dimensional and, of course, shifting to 5th dimensional frequency. The other thing that you'll notice is that Arcturians sound very military driven, and that is because we are highly logical, highly organized, and we operate from a point of balance, but with this essence of strong divine masculine energy, and that was created on purpose by the Elohim who made the Arcturians. And it was because they needed a protector species for this universe. And so the Arcturians will tell you, we have always been here, we have always existed, and we are the protector species. And we'll get into that a little bit more when we talk about their civilization on the next episode. But that's really how they see themselves, as the protectors and guides. And so they have this immense amount of energy that is able to keep any lower vibrational species at bay and to keep them away. And one of the things that they say, I'm not sure if it's going to be in this episode or the next one, but one of the things they say in this book is they have so many ships around this planet that lower vibrational species with ill intent will not even come near it anymore, because they fear the Arcturian fleet of ships that's hanging around Earth. And so if you have ever felt unsafe, there's no need for that. Those days are long over. There are far too many of these light ships hanging out right outside of our atmosphere. All right, let's continue with the reuniting parcel. In this chamber, all of the plans are made for the mission of the ship's crew. We call it a reuniting parcel because our mission is to come to Earth to bring enlightenment to our space sisters and brothers. In order to accomplish this, we must continually leave our ship and manifest on the Earth plane. This chamber contains subdivisions used for various stages of planning and retrieval of our inhabitants. In the headquarters, we have access to the information and plans that contain details of the mission. To be in this location automatically places us in the midst of our mission. It reunites us with our goal and the oneness for which we have journeyed to Earth. Another area is reserved for drawing details. This area supports all decisions that are made, for we continually change our plans and projected activities to accommodate the constantly changing conditions of your planet. We find that this room is the most flexible. In your terms, you would call it frustrating, but we do not know that emotion. We only know adaptability. Therefore, we use the word flexible. Another section is for debriefing our crew who journey outside of the starship. When they return, they are brought to this location and must report what they have learned and observed. We have all the records of these journeys stored in this area and find solutions to our problems by channeling this information into our hyperpropulsion system. The last area that is proportioned for our use is the directory command. Since we have several activities enacted simultaneously, we must have a record-keeping system to store the information and data. In this directory are the names of our crew who are on assignment, as well as names of Earthlings with whom we are in communication. Many individuals from Earth are not even aware they are communicating with one of us, or that there is an interaction taking place. Even so, the individual's name is recorded and a log is kept of these interactions. We use these primarily for a system of tracking. So before we move on to the next section, I'm curious to know, and you guys can leave it in the comments on the YouTube channel, Wellspring Official, do you think that your name is recorded right now on the Starship Athena as one of the individuals that they have communicated with? I sure as hell know that my name is on there. All right, moving on to the Remembrance Headquarters. The Remembrance Headquarters is the area of the ship that reunites us with our home star system of Arcturus. We have a need to return to our roots, just as humans do on Earth. These quarters have been designed to connect us with our home base whenever we feel the need. This is the only area of the ship visited on a spontaneous basis when a being feels that it is necessary. All other areas of the ship have a definite function which requires a schedule of visitation. This one is special and is there for the support that one may need to regain strength. It looks like a replication of the planet Arcturus and is situated far from the other major functional areas of the ship. In this reclusive position, it has the capacity to actually take the etheric body of the ship's crew member back to home base. This helps strengthen and rejuvenate the vibrational frequency of the being who feels this is necessary. We find that the longer we stay on the Earth area, the more frequently our members use this. Earth has a vibrational frequency that is very harsh. It has a tendency to penetrate our consciousness in strange ways that even we do not fully understand. We recognize this and support the use of this special chamber. Therefore, the being who chooses to use it must go through a cleansing of negative energy before entering the room. That concludes the Remembrance Headquarters. How fascinating that this room will actually take the etheric body of the ship's crew member back to Arcturus. I mean, that is incredible. And I do not fully understand how exactly that's possible, but of course, all things are possible through energy. Moving on to the Energy Transformer Storage and Retrieval Area. This area of our ship is designed to penetrate all of the hydropropulsion systems. This is different from the system described earlier, the hyperpropulsion system that replaced our computers. The Energy Transformer Storage and Retrieval Area is designed to eliminate much of the collected waste and energy that is manifested from the operations of the ship. The base for such power is water, for that is what the ship's design will tolerate in the atmosphere of Earth. Our starship was specifically designed for this mission to the planet Earth and this part of the universe. The design for the Energy Transformer Area was researched long before the starship design was completed and is one of the best systems existing. Earth has many unique features in its environment and energy sources, and one of these is that it is a water-based planet. Not all planets can claim this. Not every planet can find so much flexibility in design based upon the abundance of the minerals and elements it contains. We had to learn this before we launched our mission and had to design systems to support our needs in this part of the galaxy. We can both store energy and collect it from outside of the ship. This department is an energy transformer area that has the capability to convert different forms of energy. We have the capability to convert all the ship's waste to the energy source of light, and to use this form of energy to bring in water from outside the ship to produce pure food supplies. This is one of the reasons why we can stay away from our planetary system for so long and not return for supplies. The compartment supplies our needs for what you would call food substance, and what we call energy to sustain our lives. We repeat, water is the basis for this energy conversion operation, because this is unique to your planet. If we had been assigned to a mission in the Pleiades, we would have had to design a ship with other abilities to transform energy. It is important to remember that not all life forms can live in the same environment together without additional life support systems. While we do not eat as you humans do, we have the need to transform energy continually within our systems. In this area, we get our ingested amount of energy to support our life on this ship. This area is connected to the individual living quarters we use for sleeping. We are able to obtain the required dosage of energy just by visiting our assigned quarters. This description now brings us to the next area of explanation, the sleeping quarters. So this is why a lot of Arcturian Starseeds love food. I love food. I'm obsessed with it. I loved going to new restaurants. I love eating all of the food because on Arcturus and in our past, we did not really have the kind of food that we have here on Earth. And so a lot of Arcturian Starseeds can get a little caught up in it. You know, we have to temper ourselves. But basically what they're saying, especially as a fifth dimensional being, is that they do not eat and consume food, but there is a particular energy that is then created and distributed to their living quarters, and they receive their required dosage just by visiting their assigned quarters. That's how they are fed, essentially, which is, again, absolutely fascinating. The sleeping quarters. In this area, we activate the dream state. We find we do not need this as often as humans do, but we do have a need to make contact with our celestial brothers and sisters of the Tribunal Council. We have regimented our schedules so that once every 7 days, in Earth terms, we are allowed to return to our sleeping quarters and access this very important mode of existence. In this state, we are reconnected to our higher existence, where we receive spiritual knowledge and guidance to continue on our path to the light. We find this is essential for many reasons. First, this reunion provides us with the balance necessary to continue on with our mission. It is very easy in the Earth's atmosphere to get, quote, off balance, unquote. Reconnection prevents disharmony or disruption of balance. This activity is given the highest of priorities, and anyone who expresses a need to participate in this process is automatically granted leave to do so. The elders are all in agreement that this request holds the highest of respect, and there are few reasons why it should ever be denied. Number 2, a second reason why we are so involved in this activity is because pursuit of the highest goals is ingrained in the Arcturian culture. We have made a commitment to raising all the vibrations on Arcturus as we understand the importance of the progression back to the great central sun. Number 3, we honor this activity highly as it expresses the essence of our godhood. We may be of a different shape than what you imagine your God to be, but we are nonetheless a part of the God creation. This reconnection in the dream state is used for the purpose of furthering our powers through increasing our sound and light vibrations. We have controlled quarters for transmitting these selected higher frequencies to and through our consciousness while we sleep. In the state of dream and sleep, we actually access higher realms of the universe and participate in the frequencies that support the highest councils in this universe. Only those beings who are considered to be fourth and fifth dimensional beings have access to these channels. In your etheric bodies, you have access to these states, but often do not recollect these events when reuniting with the consciousness of your physical bodies. This is one of the things that will change for those souls who will graduate from the Earth curriculum in this lifetime, and those who will take the first steps towards the evolutionary path of the light upon exiting the Earth plane. Let us now continue with another critical chamber, the ship's motivational chamber. This section of the ship is reserved for grooming the leadership that is constantly necessary to head up the various aspects of our mission. There is hardly anything more important than leadership in any dimension of existence. We find this leads many of our species to higher realms of understanding and integrating as they progress on their journeys. This area of the ship is reserved for training. It is here we support the beings who undergo programs that help them detach from the energy forces of the new environments they encounter. Our journey takes us through many dimensions and areas of the universe. The final destination is that which the ship is primarily prepared and designed to accommodate. In this case, it was Earth. In the transitional periods, there is a great need for many of our crew to access new and higher modes of existence, just to help them overcome problems. And it is the motivational chamber that helps them do this. In your educational systems, you probably would refer to this chamber as a school or training center. We do not call it this, for we do not measure the content that is learned. Instead, we measure the energy effects that learning has on a subject, and consequently the effects which that being has on others as a result of its own increased frequency. When a being uses the motivational chamber, the result is always positive. Not all of the crew members have access to this area, however. That is not saying that they are deprived of the motivational training and assistance. This is most difficult to describe, for it appears that we discriminate in our systems. In our reality, we do not. Our civilization assures that over the course of a soul's existence on Arcturus, it will have access to all of the systems and pleasures that it wishes. This may take several embodiments, but it is assured. Allow us to close this area of description now, in order that we may continue with another. The reunion quarters. Unlike the planet Earth, which does not control its population, we learned on Arcturus long ago that in order to survive in the highest realms, we must be willing to do so. The first step in the process of controlling our species was to learn two things. Number one, we discovered that we must control our emotions with our thought patterns, and there is a designated part in our central learning structure that is designed to help us understand how to accomplish this control. Number two, to reproduce is an honor and one of the highest professions on Arcturus. Before we integrated these concepts into our consciousness, we had great difficulty in raising our young to assume the same vibrational qualities and frequencies that were deemed to be of the light. This was so because there were no systems for monitoring or aiding the beings who were mass-producing the offspring. In short, we had many of the same problems that you have encountered to date on your planet. This situation caused much alarm for our elders, and we met with the Tribunal Council of Arcturus to decide what would remedy the situation. The council determined that the gift of life was a gift from God. It was the statement of procreation and the making of the image in God's likeness. The council designated that this situation should be treated with respect in the highest of honors. We, therefore, developed a ritual for the chosen ones who were to perform this very important function in our society. We began with a selection process which is comprised of two steps. Number one, the first step is the selection of the many who are deemed to be perfect candidates for this function. Number two, the second step includes their preparation by ingestion of energy. It is important that this takes place before this function is actually completed. Not all candidates will be called upon to fulfill this role in our civilization. The reason is because some of them may become weakened in the process. The energy ingestion patterns that must be developed within our species before reproduction can commence comprise a process that is very difficult to complete. Not all of the candidates can accomplish this part of the curriculum, for the tolerance levels required sometimes cannot be developed within a being. To develop tolerance levels means that we are actually building the frequency of beings to the vibrational speed of light. This is developing them to be in a positional frequency nearer to that of the ascended masters than it is to ours. Some of the beings who are led through this process find that their bodies cannot take this shift, even though we administer the treatment in small dosages and steps. Those who cannot complete the training program are often led to another chamber that helps them with the decelerating process until they are ready to come back to the mainstream. The end result is that they are better for the treatment, for how can any deny the privilege of being a chosen one? Increasing their vibratory qualities to assume a position closer to God is indeed a privilege. For those who make it, we conduct a ceremony. When the time is appropriate, each being goes into the reunion quarters chamber. The reproduction process begins. The two beings are not in physical contact with each other at all. One being represents the masculine energy source of the universe, and the other represents the feminine energy source. Through a mind link process, the two energies are stabilized to be in perfect balance. Through the procreation process of the light, the electron force flows through two beings and actually creates another being that is a replica of the light. It is manifested out of love, honor, deep respect, and the thoughts of the chamber. The chamber that supports this process is especially designed so that it has a unique programming contained within the walls and interior. The process is perfection. If anything happened to this chamber, our species would be in great danger of deterioration. We cannot produce the same frequency on Arcturus because the energy patterns are such that there is some contamination that can interfere with perfection. Therefore, our ships are the only places where we can accomplish this important function. The celebration commences when the new being is created. The new life form is then carried to a special unit that encases it in the proper vibrational frequency until it is ready to be brought down to Arcturus for integration into family units. The special beings who care for these new life forms are all waiting and prepared for the deliveries that occur on a regular basis. The regularity of the schedule is never violated. We complete the reproduction cycle only once in every 7 years, according to your Earth time. When this cycle is completed, we seed other planets with some of our finest. We do this because we have been commanded by the councils of the universe who are interested in the evolution of the God process. We have earned the right to be one of the selected species to perform this function and, therefore, fulfill our roles and responsibilities with great dedication to the ascended realms of the universes. This final explanation brings us to the description of the next part of our ship and the function which it holds. Before we continue on, I bet you did not think that you were going to get a full description of how Arcturians reproduce. Some of my key takeaways is 1, they treat the creation of new life as a huge privilege and a huge honor. They go through a very dedicated process of ensuring that not only are the beings who are selected fully energetically supported and able to create this new life form purely through energy, right? Again, they said there's no physical contact. This is how we reproduce in the 5th dimension. There's no sex. There's no sexy time. So enjoy it while you're here and while you can, because that does not exist in the 5th dimension. They literally stand in one of those sacred rooms, and all species do this a little bit differently, but even Bashar and different Pleiadians have described it very, very similar. One being will represent the divine masculine, one will represent the divine feminine, and together they literally create a new being of light between the two of them, purely through energy. And the other part that I don't know if you picked up, but the Arcturians basically dropped that they are seeding other planets with the Arcturian species. And so that is occurring, and I don't know what planets those are, but I'd be very curious to find out. In another portion of the book, they did describe how they once had a colony here on Earth, and they got into I'm going to call it a fight with another species, and a lot of them were decimated, and so they had to leave. And unfortunately, as Earth continued its descent down into third dimension, that is simply too low a frequency for Arcturians to sustain. And so they actually have a command that they are not able to live on this planet Earth while it is in third dimension. It is simply too much of a risk, and they really, really value every single one of their species. It's so important. I mean, it takes 7 years to complete the reproduction cycle. So even though it is vastly, vastly different than how we think of reproduction and how we think of babies and creating new life, they hold it in such a high reverence. And so there's really something to be learned there. All right, moving on to the duty-free port. On Earth, this term represents the activity of exchanging materialistic goods between countries without having to pay specific taxes. Our duty-free port represents the area that supports a constant exchange of goods between our world and other worlds to which we journey. Instead of participating in the exchange of goods that are manifested only on the materialistic plane of the third dimensional reality of Earth, we exchange the gifts of God. This means we transport many souls from our world to yours. Those souls are destined for embodiment on the Earth, now and in the future. In this area of the ship, we carry our precious cargo and proceed with the process that dispenses them on the Earth plane into embodiment when the time is right. There is no charge or special tax for these gifts. Their only duty is to learn to fulfill the will of God. While we make light of this at this time in our communication to you, we understand the intensity of feeling that this knowledge may invoke in humans when they read this. We are only trying to ease the shock of this information and mean no disrespect. What humans have not understood is that this process has been going on since the beginning of time. We call this compartment of our ship the duty-free area, for we charge nothing to deliver our gifts. God does not charge for the light, and we bring to the earth some of the finest light bearers that the planet has seen. There are no taxes on these gifts either, and we offer them with the utmost of pride and joy. Many of the light bearers on Earth today are beginning to wake up. They are connecting to the thought processes that provide them with direct communication to us aboard the motherships. Their remembrances are beginning to reawaken in their hearts as the longing for home is getting stronger. The commitments made between embodiments to serve the commands of the Tribunal Council of the Universes are now beginning to surface in their minds and hearts. We honor and welcome them back with this communication, which will be one of the first to emerge on the planet, providing a direct contact with us. In reading this information, much will be triggered in their souls. We are pleased to say that those re-emerging memories will be just one more step in the process to help them reclaim the data, unlocking the mysteries of their missions on Earth. The magnificent chamber for manifestation. In this chamber, we have the most advanced mechanism for manifestations that humans can ever begin to imagine. We, on the fourth and fifth dimensions, are closer to the vibrational frequency of the electron force of the light. We have within our created environment a support device that represents the ultimate process in our existence. In this chamber, we are guided by the elders to create the highest forms of which we are capable. A direct correlation exists between a soul's growth and that which a being is able to create or manifest in any embodiment. It is our code that once a being has performed on a higher level, it is nearly impossible for that same being to perform at a lower one. The experiences in this chamber are guided by the elders. We make an assumption that all of our beings wish to journey to the highest, and we are in the position of sharing this magnificent chamber with any being aboard our ship. This chamber is designed to complement and support rearrangement of the molecular structure of the being's central nervous system for inducing the pleasure of performing at the level of the fifth dimensional frequency and higher. The experience cannot easily be explained in words. It is more than telepathy and visualization. It is more than walking in the etheric form and transporting oneself through various dimensions of time and space. It is more than joy and happiness. It is the feeling of actually being the force and the light. It is the experience of the all. The planet Earth will someday evolve to this existence, but it must first experience the fourth and fifth dimensional qualities. That is why it is undergoing this incredible transformational process at this time. We, the Arcturians, come from and exist in the fourth and fifth dimensions. We are in the process of evolving to higher ones ourselves. The plan is perfect. We are here to help our Earth brothers and sisters make their transformation to the fifth dimension with as little pain as possible. Helping you successfully through this period automatically helps us in our own evolutionary process. All souls are being consumed by the great central sun. In the alignment of the universes and star systems, all beings help each other with this progression and evolutionary process. We also receive assistance from those who are much higher evolved. The only difference is that we do not fear those who assist us, as we perceive you fear us. Let's take a pause there and reflect on some of that. First of all, I would love to jump into the magnificent chamber for manifestation and never come out. How fabulous. And so it works through your nervous system. I'm going to have to check in with them and see if that is a part of the ship that they brought me onto in New Mexico when they did my upgrade. They just called it an upgrade, and maybe they called it a DNA upgrade. And that was, just a few weeks later, I was fully psychic and doing my work. So I wonder if that is the part of the ship that they brought me into. I think I'll save that question for when we do the live channeling with the Arcturians. The other thing I want to point out is when they say all souls are being consumed by the great central sun, they're not actually talking about a giant ball of fire, although that's how we see it in third dimension. Great central sun is their term for the one infinite creator. And so that is that we are all on our journey back to the one infinite creator. All right, let's move on to the learning facility. The learning facility is for the enhancement of knowledge. Since we understand the curriculum of Arcturus and our civilization, we use this room for the accumulation of knowledge concerning other worlds. The learning facility supports the growth and development of all on the ship. It has a complete data bank, an information retrieval area that includes important materials on every aspect of Earth. Equally important is the topic of astronomy. This includes reference material about our charted course and even the destinations of our sister starships working in other areas of the universe. Our method for learning is a simple one. We ingest information through our telepathic abilities and central nervous systems. We have the ability to work knowledge through our systems as humans ingest and digest foods. We are capable of absorbing concepts and information at a rate approximately 100 times faster than the average human. We do this through a stretch elongated technique of mind expansion. This technique is used in conjunction with some specifically designed instruments that have the capability of absorbing data and implanting it within our, quote, brain, unquote, structures. We can assimilate information in a one-directional mode, like this method, or we may tap into the universal consciousness of the Great Central Sun. In using this latter mode of operation, we find greater truths and mysteries are revealed. When we wish for specific mundane pieces of information, such as spatial distance through the universal equation of thought projection, we will use the stretch elongated technique. Although this area is different from our systems of education on Arcturus, many of the processes of measurement and motivation are the same. Allow us to continue on with the next division. The movement chamber for locomotion. The movement chamber for locomotion is designed to facilitate movement when we are in the Earth's atmosphere. This chamber protects us from those outside forces that have a tendency to hold us to a three-dimensional existence. It provides us with the energy sources and means by which we can increase our vibratory rates and move outside of that existence. We need to utilize this chamber whenever we are preparing to, quote, surface, unquote, within the third dimension. We use this chamber to assist us to rise above the energy forces that lock us into a pattern that keeps us dependent upon the positive energy currents of Earth. The Arcturians learned long ago that in order to maintain a higher existence, one must always maintain a balance. This includes the balance of everything in existence. Mastering the force of positive and negative energies of the electron force is the most critical in this process. In the Earth's atmosphere, the thought processes of its inhabitants have produced an energy field that is out of balance. Therefore, most of the humans on the planet find it difficult to maintain any kind of balance in their lives. They are swept into the currents of the mainstream of the yang energy, currents which are the positive masculine energy. They have no idea who or what is available to aid them to readjust their lives or to bring them the happiness and peace they are seeking. We experience these currents around Earth and have a chamber that assists us to maintain a vibrational frequency that is above the one most strongly represented on your planet. We honor those on Earth who automatically do the same with no assistance from such chambers. The chamber we use has perfect balance of energy sources built into its design. It supports our physical, emotional, and spiritual needs. This allows us to be fortified by the currents of equality, of intellect, and drive. The chamber is used by those who leave the ship frequently and manifest near the Earth's surface. All beings who enter our ship are required to use this chamber. This is the first area to which strangers or guests are introduced. We do not use our limbs and projectiles for our main source of movement when aboard our ship. We instead move by floating and using our minds to project us on the force of the liquid light. Those beings whom we take on this ship are often required to use the same format for moving. A visit to this chamber when they are in the dream state is deemed to be a very effective way to accomplish this. When a being is balanced, he has the power to raise or lower his vibrational frequencies to any level that he desires. He has the strength of commitment also to accomplish many feats that are deemed to be extraordinary. Walking on water would be one of the activities that would demonstrate this kind of power. Your records show one great man was able to accomplish this in the midst of your energy forces on Earth. He came to teach you this, and we are here once again to transmit more technical knowledge to help you all achieve this feat too. We all do work for the same great soul, Jesus, Yahshua, who also is known to many in the highest realms as Sananda. Since we are on the subject of working together to raise all of humankind's vibrational frequencies to adjust to the new age, let us now direct our efforts to describing the next area of our ship, which also supports this activity. The chamber for the captives. Ooh. To describe this area of our ship, we must take you on a journey. The journey consists of traveling back to a time when the souls on Earth were not as enlightened as those presently gracing the surface of beloved Terra. This consists of the time period between Atlantis and now. It is recorded in the footsteps of the ethers, and is in the historical annals of your civilizations. It is the here and now, and it is the past. It is also the future. During all of those moments in your third dimensional existence, there have been souls who have walked the planet and given the masses enlightenment and the teachings of the great masters. Throughout all of history since Atlantis, there have always lived the way showers, who have come down to the planet and incarnated in bodies that kept the vigil light burning for humanity. They have toiled and worked to lead the masses out of the darkness. These great souls have chosen to come to Earth and to open energy vortexes, which could be accessed for future events. Every continent on the planet has been blessed by these masters, and every master has had numerous followers who are dedicated to the teachings and the way of true enlightenment. As these numerous souls have continued their own journeys towards the light, many of them have chosen to come to Earth again at this time of transition, to repeat the same curriculum of the ancients. They are here so that Mother Earth will help them with the birthing process into the new day and age. These souls are embodied in a sea of negativity that chokes them and makes it very difficult sometimes for them to see through this illusion. It is especially true for those souls who are in isolation on the planet. The isolation makes it very difficult to remember who and what they are. In this struggle for their identity, we have assisted them on their journeys of awakening. We take them aboard our ships to help in the removal of energy blockages. In the oneness of it all, we are truly working for the same purpose. We are to help each other remove the illusions of fear and doubt. In your books, many souls have reported to have visited us, many whom you would describe as religious. They are the ones who have irreversible programming in their souls to move forward on their missions in this lifetime to help bring enlightenment to the planet. They truly are in service to God and to the light. Many have access to us in the dream states of the fourth dimension. Many of them appreciate help in recalling all of the secrets they once knew and fought for, to aid the masters in the way of truth and light. They all have given us permission to work with them, even though on the conscious level of the third dimension, many do not remember they have done so. This is acceptable. We must continue on with our work for the people of Earth. Time is running out, and Earth is at a moment in its history that will determine its fate. That future direction and the amount of pain that will be endured is truly in the hands of the humans who walk the surface of the planet. We are committed to help with this reawakening. We are committed to help our brothers and sisters to walk in the higher dimensions that is their destiny. We are committed to fulfill the plan of God and the scriptures. These souls can consider their journeys aboard our ships to be one of aid and assistance. We hope that those who journey with us and remember know that the selection process automatically classifies them among the finest souls who ever walked the planet. We wish they would integrate these two ideas in their third dimensional consciousness, work at removing the illusions of the fear that surrounds their journeys, and focus only on the incredibly wonderful service they are doing for humanity. The chamber designed to assist these souls in the reawakening process is the chamber of the captives. We call it this not because these souls are captive aboard our ship. These souls are captive only to their own fears and doubts that comprise the negativity that surrounds the earth in the third dimension. We bring them to this chamber to remove these illusions and eventually to set them free. This is the truth of our mission and higher purpose. So if you too desire to be set free of the illusion, you might ask the Arcturians to bring you aboard one of their ships and to enter into the chamber for the captives, to be released from illusion and remember the truth of who you really are. You can start to see so many of the parallels in the way that I teach and the way that I talk in my own missions and what they are communicating. It truly is so wondrous. And now we move on briefly to the storage and retrieval area. We offer no long description for this area of our ship. It is not exciting. It is only functional. This area is for storage, and for a ship the size of ours, we do need large areas for storage of replacement parts. Many items cannot be reproduced through the powers of our minds and the dimensional frequencies that we access. We are limited, just as you have such limitations on the Earth plane, but we are also in the space where most of what we need may be accessed through the process of time travel. Therefore, we are able to gain many things in a matter of moments by your standards, just by accessing and using some of the tools that we have mastered in our own evolutionary process. The communication chamber. We will begin the description of this area of the ship by defining the word communication. What this means is the passing of messages telepathically between two or more beings and the process of receiving this information accurately. With this understanding firmly in place, we will now begin to describe the purpose of this chamber. The communication chamber supports continual growth and development of our telepathic powers. It is equipped with a mechanism that absorbs our mental thoughts and records their significance and power. What is exchanged is a readout of what we sent. In this readout, we are able to determine our own power and potential for the sending abilities we have. We are given information or feedback, if you will, that helps us make decisions as to how we might improve our telepathic abilities. This chamber is actually a learning facility for accuracy and skill development. The mechanism in this area will let us know of any difficulties we are having in focusing, for example. An unfocused being will experience the problem of sending unclear messages. This is described in the chapter on language. And a problem such as this is not acceptable to a species as advanced as ours. This does not mean that we take things for granted or do not continue to practice the lessons that are ours in this curriculum of existence. Instead, we take our roles and lessons seriously, and we discipline ourselves to use chambers such as this to ensure that our skills do not deteriorate. The room is the transmitter and receiver of totally accurate information. It receives the electrical impulses from our thoughts transcribes them for us in minute detail, gives us a telepathic readout of the areas needing improvement based on the data it obtained from our communication, and then prescribes exercises for us to follow. Whatever your mental image of this chamber may be does not matter. Its function is truly for us to serve us and our continual development. Every being is required to use it at least once each Earth month. It is like a medical check that is recommended in your society once each year. Another purpose for this area is the socialization process that takes place here. Since use of this chamber is a requirement, this is like a reunion hall for the many who use it. We do not have many opportunities to socialize on our mission, nor do we feel a need to do so in our culture. This chamber provides us with just about all of this activity we feel that we need. So when I read that part, I realized why I am such a hermit and such an introvert. It really is one of those qualities. And so they only need to socialize once per month, and that's about all the socialization that I can handle as well. All right, moving on to the navigation rehearsal area. This is a very special area of our ship. It is here that we practice a combination of maneuvers like your military moves on Earth. We plan, write out our activities in detail, and actually rehearse the maneuvers that we must complete for the continuation of our mission on Earth. The room we use is a very large room with a large area for strategic drawings in the etheric form. Often we take visitors from other starships aboard our ship, and when they arrive, we use this room to jointly plan the next stages of our activities. These rehearsals involve many steps of telepathic communications before any diagrams are actually completed. The plans are promoted and enacted to perform for each of the smaller parts of the mission. When we actually fulfill the plans, say on the Earth plane, the maneuvers are compared with the data stored in our central storage areas. In comparing the findings, we are able to constantly improve and make decisions to complete our assignments with even more accuracy. In this rehearsal area, we have what you would call sensing computers that react to energy movements. These collect data from such movements as thoughts, physical forms, and even emotions. They are especially sensitive to emotional energy emissions, as those are the most unstable of all. Although we pride ourselves on being the masters of our emotions, we still recognize this part of our nature to be the weakest. These sensing computers do a remarkable job of dictating all of the innermost movements of our maneuvers. They can access movement in all dimensions simultaneously. They can offer instantaneous reports of the images and perceptions received. Since efficiency is something our species truly honors and respects, we take these rehearsals very seriously. We use the data to make every move of our strategy as effective as possible to accomplish our goals. The starship on which we ride is one of the few that has this special chamber. It is unique to our needs, and therefore, we are honored to have many visitors aboard our ship who take advantage of this technology. We share our inventions with those whom we honor aboard the Athena, and we learn of the power this device has in simplifying our mission. The purpose for this area is only to support our journeys out of the ship. It serves us and our other visitors well. It is a valuable part of the starship. Let's all just take a moment to imagine Sirians, Pleiadians, Andromedans all hanging out in this one room on the Athena, planning their different missions to Earth. And it sounds like some of those missions have to do with just the simple task of trying to get some water because they utilize water on their ships. And Of course, our military is always giving them a hard time, so they are all on there planning their ships and trying to be as efficient as possible, which just makes me laugh every time because they said efficiency is something our species truly honors and respects, and the amount of effort that I put into trying to be as efficient as possible on this planet is almost comical, and it drives my family crazy. They're like, why are you always trying to find a new, more efficient way to do something? And for me, it's just this inner drive that I have that things could be, if something could be more efficient, then we should find that way and do it that way. So who knows, maybe someday we'll get to hang out in this part of the ship too. The motivational storage motion area. Seldom has an area of our ship been more misunderstood than this one. We begin with this statement, for we would like to use this as the basis for the explanation that we are about to share with you. The motivational storage motion area is a compartment of our ship that supports the learning facility. It is designed to take information about the planet Earth and our mission and to place these data in a holistic framework of the many dimensions of time and space. This area will take many of the completed plans from the navigation rehearsal area that result from the information gained from the learning facility, and rearrange these plans into parallel constructs that support operations in the third, fourth, and fifth dimensions. This is necessary, for we continually fluctuate between these dimensions, and we need assistance to help us bridge the gaps between the distortions that appear to occur when thoughts, words, actions, and emotions are transferred from one dimensional frequency to another. This chamber is given the word motivational in its title because it performs a function that truly does keep us motivated to continue on our mission. What we have been asked to do is not easy by your Earth standards, although perhaps not that difficult by ours. Without the assistance of this kind of device, it would be very difficult for us to continue to function simultaneously on these different dimensional frequencies and still keep the holistic goal of the oneness in our focus. With this technology, we proceed with much ease and assurance. This area of the ship is the refinement of the process of our primary mission, and does keep us motivated as we rely on its interpretation. We trust its assistance and are dependent upon the mechanism for much of our motivational support that enhances our journey. The word storage is in the title because this area integrates and stores the data from two other areas of the ship. Both of these chambers are necessary and must be operational before this area can perform its function. The word motion is used in this title because the integration process takes the valuable information from these other areas and puts it all in motion with our personal energies to provide us with the holistic patterns for performance outside the ship. This is just one reason why the practice sessions must obtain such a level of perfection. The refinement process of collecting and manipulating the data and activities must be such that there is no room for error by the time they are sent to this area of the ship. We are dependent upon this chamber to a large extent only for assisting us on that part of our mission when or where we manifest ourselves outside of our starship support area. When we are within the ship's contained space, we do not need to use this area at all. In the beginning, we said that this area was misunderstood. It is misunderstood by the Earth inhabitants who have worked with us in the past. There are certain government and scientific workers on Earth who have had access to some of our information and, quote, secrets, unquote, for advanced technology. They are continually amazed when they learn of what we do with this use of our energy systems. This area is one they have not been able to comprehend as yet. One of the reasons an understanding of the function of this part of our ship has been so difficult for them is because when they were exposed to this technology, they did not have the holistic support systems programmed in their computers. Their own brain structures were not able to comprehend this multidimensional level of holistic learning without the assistance of your computers that enhance understanding. Therefore, this part of learning has been largely ignored by those who have been exposed to us in your recent past. We tell you today that this is the area that holds the secrets to our own success in our journeys to Earth. So in many ways, one might label this section of our starship as one of the most critical parts and support systems for the beings who work among you. Before we move on, yes, there are several places within the book where they talk about how they have contacted governments, contacted world leaders, and the only thing that the world leaders wanted from them was technology, and then basically, okay, in my own words, told them to fuck off, okay? And so they said it in much nicer terms, but yeah, that's been a really interesting part of the book, and hopefully when I do a live channeling with them, we can ask about the governments and see if there has been some progress. Moving on to the motion carrier. The motion carrier is situated in an area adjacent to the one just described. This chamber supports the changed essence of our beings before they move away from the ship and continue their journeys on the Earth plane. The motivational storage motion area performs the function of integrating necessary information and data into a holistic design. The motion carrier area programs the holistic data into the essence of the beings who journey outside of the ship. The beings who are assigned to leave the ship are led into this chamber. All the members of the team are present, for they must receive the same treatment. The beings are placed in a circular pattern and are momentarily separated. That is, their souls are separated momentarily from their physical structures through a primordial scream process. The sound vibrations used on a level higher than those within their own normal range of hearing, so this does not hurt them. In this separated form, the chamber's energy frequencies work with the soul and reprogram it to ensure that each being receives all the information necessary to accomplish the next part of the mission. When the programming is complete, the souls and physical structures are reunited and the team is ready to journey to its destiny. This entire process takes only a fraction of a moment according to your Earth time. There is no pain, there is no physical deterioration, it is simply a process that supports the work they are destined to fulfill. It allows us to move. We could not be put into motion if we did not undergo this treatment. There are many benefits to this. One is that the team that actually leaves the ship does not have to be the team that has practiced all of the learning and rehearsals. The practicing is done by those who have greater vision and patterns of perfection within their essence. This greater team absorbs the refinement and perfection patterns, and the workers are the ones who benefit from that procedure by being imprinted with these patterns in the motion carrier chamber. Storage of the information and holistic patterns for performance are not permanently implanted in the being's consciousness. Because this is a function of teamwork, when those beings return from their missions, they do not use that pattern of programming anymore. So they are individually positioned around the ship once more. The programming breaks down so that the beings are no longer affected. This form of learning and performance is very efficient. Need we say more? Okay, wait a second. So I don't know if you caught that, but they literally said that in order to separate their soul from the body momentarily in order to receive the download, They literally have to scream. A primordial scream process. It just reminded me of when someone gets really scared and screams. They literally say, like, I thought my soul left my body. And the Arcturians are just up there, like, high-pitched scream, removing soul from body, download information, jump back in, head out for a mission. Need we say any more? No, I think we got it. I think we're good. Moving on to the shuttlecraft area. This may be the only area of our ship with which you can identify. Because of the recent film productions that are sweeping your planet, we too can leave our ship via smaller craft. Contrary to your popular beliefs, many of our smaller craft are global in shape. They are also much smaller in dimensions than you would imagine. We call them sensing devices. They are sent out to roam and collect data in closer proximity to Earth than our starship is able to cruise. The purpose of these smaller vehicles, which we call Vicama, is to access energy points in the Earth for the purpose of reactivating them. There are many such openings into the Earth, about which humans are only recently learning. These openings into the Earth's energy fields have, for the most part, been lying dormant for centuries. We are here to re-energize these for all of the inhabitants on the planet and for all of our other celestial sisters and brothers. We use the Vicama to tenderize the electromagnetic lines of energy that are flowing from these pressure points, and to refocus the currents if it is necessary to do so. Sometimes the energy currents are in misalignment because of scientific endeavors that you are completing on the planet. An example would be your nuclear power stations. Some of them emit such strong energy currents that they mix with the natural alignment energy forces of the planet. When this happens, the electromagnetic forces around the planet are placed in jeopardy of being put out of balance as they become unstable. We then journey over one of your stations in our Vicama and reprogram the computers or the sources of power for that plant that produces the misaligned currents. Sometimes this action is just slightly noticed, and other times the changes are quite dramatic. This has a tendency to alarm some of the inhabitants of Earth. We do this out of our sense of duty and love for the planet and its inhabitants. We do this because it keeps the Earth in alignment with the electromagnetic currents that have kept it stabilized for so many centuries. There are many other purposes for these Vicama craft. They are used as the primary means of communication between the starship and the destinations to which they are sent. In addition, they are our primary life support systems for a portion of the journeys that we take. The Vicama also are equipped with instruments and, quote, computers, unquote, that can trace energy sources and data. These data are utilized for further studies of systems on Earth. We also have transported some of the humans from Earth on these craft. These craft are global in shape. By global, we mean that as you see these disks in the heavens, you see a round vehicle that appears to look like a globe. However, the distance from top to bottom is actually not as great as the width of the craft. These craft are shaped using the principles of aerodynamics, which have recently been employed on the planet Earth. Would we present an arrogant image to you if we stated here that it was the Arcturians who gave the planet Earth its present information on aerodynamics? In truth, it was we who brought this information down, but your application of these principles are still far removed from the extent to which we use them in our civilization. We have transmitted much information to many souls on the planet since the beginning of time. While they, in embodiment, often take the credit for these discoveries, in reality the source of the creative ideas was transmitted from a higher collective consciousness. Much of the information received by Earth's inhabitants results from the work that is accomplished in the Vicama. and by the advanced technology that they contain. If it were not for these advanced systems for processing data in our computers, we would not be able to convert our civilization's information to the third dimensional frequency. Therefore, the primary purpose for these craft is for the collecting and transmitting of data and information. The Jet Propulsion Chamber. This chamber resides within the shuttlecraft area and is used as the main source of power for launching our shuttlecraft. It is also a stabilizing unit for the return of our beings aboard the ship. You might call this area a decompression chamber. The function of this area is not only for the inhabitants aboard our craft, but also for the craft. We use metals that are unlike any you are aware of on Earth. We have to realign these metals, or at least check to determine whether or not they need realignment when the craft returns. Sometimes currents of energy collected on the mission can destabilize the particles in the craft. We use this propulsion chamber to detect if any misalignments have occurred. Therefore, this chamber has two primary functions. It is the launch pad and the decompression chamber as well. It takes the combination of these two functions to initiate and terminate our missions of smaller significance. This is accomplished in a brief period of time, but with the greatest of efficiency. The Information and Communication Information Area. I'm sorry, but I think that a lot of these names, they're just yanking our leg on some of these names. So the Information and Communication Information Area. Somebody up there is having a really good time with these. All right, let us continue. This is one of the most important areas of our commander's chambers. We, the Arcturians, have a great need for ongoing communications that enable us to ingest incredible amounts of information and data at any given moment. On our own, we have limited abilities to accomplish this. Without an area equipped to serve the ship in this capacity, our abilities would be very limited indeed. This area of our ship allows only beings of selected rank to enter. Those who are entitled to know all the information stored in the retrieval banks. In order to access this area, a special code with which to activate the kind and amount of information is needed. For many, this area does not even have interest. For the other learning facility area serves the need of the continual mental and emotional stimulation of new knowledge. For a few, however, this area is essential. The special code is based upon the vibratory frequency and color that the being emits. This is registered in the entry chamber. If the two match, the being is entitled to pass through the doors to review information stored in memory. If the frequency is not recognized, the door simply does not allow passage. In the event that more than one being moves into the entrance chamber, each must pass the coded inspection. In the event that a guest is being admitted, the being who is entitled to approve the admittance must use a voice command that also activates the chamber door. The information contained within this chamber consists of the propulsion, matter/antimatter formulas necessary for advancement of our hyperspace travel. We guard this information, for not all beings who ride in the celestial skies are what you would call friendly. We must guard some of this information for evolutionary purposes, as it stands to reason that if our civilization were to fall, it would produce a domino effect reaction throughout several planetary systems. All of our work on Arcturus and beyond is completed with dutiful respect to the oneness concept of the all. We are dedicated to bringing peace, harmony, and love to all of those with whom we come in contact. But unfortunately, not all share our same point of view. Many on your own planet would tend to dispute this motive or intention. Do you not agree? We, therefore, must be very careful with whom we do business, for we truly are about our Father's business, and we do not wish to carry the unhealthy karma of giving such powerful information to those who are not aligned with the highest of intentions and frequencies. For this reason, we call this area the Information and Communication Information Area. It contains our most powerful information of the universe, and it is our responsibility to share it only through communications with the appropriate individuals. We are told with whom we are to share this information by the highest in command. Even though all individuals have access to these data through the collective consciousness and their own higher resources, few are advanced enough to know how to access this information. We, therefore, are presently in charge of dispensing the communications that allow humans and other entities slowly to assimilate this learning. So if you missed that, basically this is the area where they store the formula for space travel. And they were saying that that is why you need a key code to get in. That is why there is a voice command. Additionally, if there is a visitor, because they do not allow this information to get out there easily. And you have to be at a certain vibratory rate in your own consciousness and allowed by the highest in Arcturian Command, which would be one of the uppermost councils, before they give anyone that information. And I would probably also guess, I would make an educated guess, that this has been a point of contention with probably our militaries that want that information and are completely not ready for it. And so that has been, there is a level of frustration, although they probably wouldn't use that word, but in our human terms, I would call it frustration with connecting with the different governments who are like, we just want all of the information and the technology, even though we are not at the point of consciousness to be able to handle it. All right, moving on to the motion, remotion, lodging, apparatus, carrier, chamber. The name is long, but this simply means the area of the ship that carries the cargo from one planetary system to another. Much of what was on our starship when we arrived in the Earth's atmosphere already has been deposited on Earth. We use many locations on Earth to work that are not decipherable by your human eye. To operate our bases and to complete our assignments, in order to maintain these sites, we constantly must import much cargo. It is needed to sustain the functions of our different Earth bases. We also have a site on the moon. In fact, 3 of them. But we do not bring much cargo to that location anymore. It is more imperative that we station ourselves on or near the Earth's surface because of an increase in the instability of the gravitational pull around the planet. Many of our Earth stations are situated inside the mountains and within the crust of the Earth itself. There are a few on Earth who know this to be true, but most will find this a shock and try to dismiss it as a fairy tale. The reality is that we are on the same dimensional frequency as the fairies and the other little people who have been described for centuries by your poets and writers. There are only a select few who have been privy to a view of this existence in the course of history. So, if you hear someone dismiss this as a fairy tale existence, use the positive feedback techniques that you know so well on the Earth plane and tell them you're right. The reason we label this area the motion, remotion, lodging apparatus, carrier, chamber is because this precious cargo, in order to exist in the middle of matter, such as the mountains, has to be pure energy in a highly refined state. It can move and assume its same form to support our needs and functions of the mission. Perhaps this does not make sense to you, but to us, this title does convey the sole purpose for this part of our ship. The walls of the ship are designed to hold the frequencies intact of each piece of precious cargo that we carry to its destination. There is a special ionization unit in this chamber that is used to stabilize the movement of energy of each item we carry. It detects any irregular movements or patterns in this cargo, and those patterns are corrected and held in confinement before they have a chance to disintegrate or change form. If we had to name one area of our ship that is the most vulnerable in the event of an attack, this would probably be high on the list. We tell you this with much ease and confidence, though, for we are not a civilization that is prone to attack or to destruction. In fact, we report with pride that many in the universes stay away from our ships only because we have earned the reputation of being a high-minded civilization that is very technologically advanced. This reputation has lent centuries of peace to our civilization, and we are pleased to say that it is not fear that keeps lower vibratory souls from attacking us, but wisdom. I love that, casual flex. All right, moving on to the integrative and supportive area. You would call this a mess hall, a lounge area, or a similar name. It serves a similar function as your areas for rest and relaxation. It has the purpose of socializing and telepathic exchanges of non-classified information. The only difference between your lounge and ours is that our frequency sensors can detect if classified information should ever be exchanged telepathically, whereas your areas would not. To date, we have not had an incident where this has become a problem. It is not a problem with our species. Only when our invited guests are taken aboard do we need to monitor the information that is being exchanged in this area. With our guests, our awareness is a bit more sensitive and alert. But we have gotten off track to a certain degree. Let us repeat, this is mainly a socialization area, as you might expect, though the area is seldom used by our species. I'm just envisioning an empty cafeteria lounge room, the teacher's lounge. But it's just empty because Arcturians don't want to socialize. It's hilarious. The old and new vaporizing chambers. There is a difference between these two chambers, but basically they do the same thing. They are also one unit. This may seem confusing, so let us first define what these are. The vaporizing chambers are those areas that instantly vaporize beings and objects which are extinct. In this action, the item that was is definitely turned into another form of energy. We use this chamber for extracting waste from non-functional materials and for providing everything the opportunity to return to the state from whence it came. We have 2 chambers within each unit because we honor the old and the new. Each area has a distinct function and place, and the energies are definitely aligned in different patterns, depending upon which category they fall into. Something that is new might be an object that was manifested with a flaw. Since it is new, it has not had the opportunity to collect and mingle with other forms of energy. This is the kind of object that would be placed in the new vaporizing chamber. Something that might be placed in the old vaporizing chamber is an item that is a part of a system. In a system, all units function as one, and the combined energies of those units are united into one energy field. This situation demands that we place an object into the old chamber. It performs many different forms of operation on this to separate the energy systems as it is being transformed back to its pure state. In some ways, this is like the different forms of rays your scientists have discovered on Earth. While they are all energy, each has its own recognizable quality. Therefore, the same distinction is made when we do our work, distinguishing between the forms of energies that are designated for vaporization. We on Arcturus are precise. We do not leave anything to chance. If you notice, Earth is also moving into that state as well. We wish to point out there is a parallel here, for this is just one more affirmation that we are here to assist. We inform you again that it is we who have been guiding you for many Earth centuries. It is important to note that we do not use this vaporization chamber as a kind of death chamber. That would be barbaric, and we have no use for that kind of practice. The only time this chamber is used for a being is when that being's life has expired, and the remains are left for us to care for. In this case, we provide the remains with a form of disintegration, but in reality, it is a process of returning its essence to the purest form of energy. We thus do our colleague a favor and honor. The vaporizing chambers have the capacity to reunite energy sources as well. In other words, when vaporization is complete, a program of the exact structure that was changed is recorded and stored in the ship's records. We can use this program and create that same object once again at a later time. You see, the process is reversible. This is truly a pure system for cleansing and restoring all that we are and have. We use this system because it keeps our civilization in the highest of energy sources. It is a quick, efficient, pure, and accelerated process which integrates the light with the properties of our existence. So they just want to be clear about the fact that they do not, terminate life by using a vaporizing chamber, because they know that that's where all humans' minds will go straight to. Moving on to the intelligence and debriefing chamber. Your definition of this kind of room has a negative connotation in many minds. The function of this area for us is a very positive one. We view this area as the essence of our mission to Earth. We view this area as that which provides us with exciting cultural exchanges from one world to another. This debriefing room is exactly that. It is for both our own officers and for those beings of other races that are visiting our ship. The purpose of this area is to exchange information, and we do emphasize the true meaning of exchange, for if the beings with whom we are communicating are of another world, we conduct these sessions with the diplomacy of our civilization, and honor our sisters and brothers as well. Much of the knowledge that is presently coming to Earth during these times is a result of the information that is exchanged in this area of the ship. Often, souls are brought here in the dream state and work with us for many Earth hours. When the discussions are over, they return to their physical bodies to reawaken to a new day. Many of the Earth souls who are being prepared to work with us in the higher realms and on Earth assignment use this area frequently. They are assuming the roles that were written with us between embodiments, and they are freely coming aboard and participating in our plans for raising the frequencies on Earth. Each of these souls has gone through an awakening process that is irreversible, once the programming for their missions on Earth has been revealed. This area of the ship is one of the reasons why the programming is slowly surfacing within the consciousness of many of these star children at this time. We have spent many hours in this debriefing room, giving them instructions in their dream state. They have recollections occasionally of strange things that have occurred to them in the nights. What they are actually remembering is the interaction with us. We use this area for other exchanges as well. When our species returns from assignments, they sometimes will report to this area for an exchange of information that has to do with the master plan of knowledge being transmitted to Earth. When a part of their activities has had an impact on the overall mission, it is then that they are asked to come to this area for the stimulating exchange of information and telepathic dialogue. If I were to select one area of our starship that I am the most attached to, it would be this intelligence and debriefing chamber. I see moment by moment the progress that is being made by our efforts with the children of light on the beloved Earth. This special area for the reunions of our forms is why this progress can be witnessed on Earth today. As a group, we collectively bless and love this room of light for the dedication that it has to help the souls on Earth to advance. So that's one of the many reasons why you are tired when you wake up in the morning. It's because you've been on these different ships, hanging out, debriefing, sharing information. And that's one of the main reasons why I feel that I do not sleep at all since my spiritual awakening. All right, moving on to the intelligence and vaporizing chamber. We have an abundance of gifts that we bring to your star system and to the others we visit. We carry precious cargo of another kind in this area, however. In the intelligence and vaporizing chamber, we can carry and manifest various forms of gifts that are products of our thought forms. This chamber is used to increase our powers, our friendship, and our protocol offerings. It serves a dual purpose, as do all the chambers and areas of our ship. We do not design anything that is strictly functional with a sole purpose in mind. Although we are time travelers, we still must use this area to help us with our mission. We cannot manifest anywhere we wish at the precise moment of time we desire. That is left for those higher on the Ascension ladders and for the levels of the Ascended Masters. We find we must make use of what we have with the technology that we have developed. We cannot do this in isolation, and while we are on the ship, we are in an isolated position. Therefore, we rely on this area for manifesting and vaporizing inadequate ideas, objects, and things. When we are in an atmosphere similar to that of Earth, we can manifest that which is unique or common to your civilization, and our gifts can have a greater meaning. So far, we have given many secrets of our technology to some in your military and to scientists in different countries. In order to do this, some of the models had to be manifested and brought to Earth. We consider these to be forms of gifts we create in this chamber and share with our colleagues. Other forms are gifts of adornment, and many of the star children are already wearing these gifts on their bodies. These have dual purposes, as you can imagine. They not only serve as an object for beautification, but also as energy transmitters. Perhaps one might call them communication devices, if one really wished to get technical. These gifts are not detectable by the average person. It is only those individuals who are finely tuned to energy sources who would understand their importance and significance. We, the Arcturians, do consider our species to be a very giving group. In the understanding of the universal laws that have been presented to us by the Brotherhood of the All, there is no law more essential than that of giving love. That is the primary motivation and cosmic glue, so to speak, that activates the electron force of creation, which is light. The law is simple. The more you give, the more you will receive. While this law was given to all on Earth 2,000 years ago, there are still many on the planet who do not believe this is true. Interestingly enough, those souls who have not mastered this basic law are the same ones who are in a state of lower vibrations and misery. Need we say more? The point here is that we learned this law eons ago and have practiced it as a group. We are in the process of assisting our beloved commander Sananda to reinstate this teaching on your planet once again. This chamber on our ship exemplifies this law and provides us with many opportunities to practice its perfection. It is a delightful part of our ship, supporting our own spiritual and mental development to a degree that cannot be measured. The captain's and commander's quarters. By combining the two titles, captain and commander, it appears these two positions are the same, but they are not. They do not even share the same space in the privacy of their own lives. Let us explain why we have dictated this section in this manner. The captain of our ship is the being who commands all of the ship's routines. This being also commands all of the life forms on the vessel who perform the common mission. The captain's position would be equivalent to that of the captain on one of your vessels. It is the highest position for orders that the crew would turn to for direction and guidance. The commanders are those beings who guide the mission. They control the overall strategy that guides the maneuvers of the plan. For the commanders, there are many starships, beings, maneuvers, and locations that must be directed for the missions to be successful. These beings are in the roles of serving the Galactic Command and the Brotherhood of the All. They are in charge of all aspects of the plan. These beings reside above the fifth dimension and wield a power that is far beyond what our technology can provide. They hold their tenure through the Tribunal Council of the Universe and work tirelessly to assure that the mission to assist the beloved Terra in her hour of need will proceed with confidence. The quarters designed to house these two levels of beings are in a part of the ship reserved for a vibratory frequency. The captain's quarters are sealed off in a special electromagnetic field that protects its frequencies. It contains energy from the great central sun that provides an effervescent energy, absolutely maintaining integrity of the purest form. When the commanders visit our starship, they must have surroundings of the highest quality. They must be preserved, so to speak, in a frequency that supports their level of love and integrity. Therefore, the quarters reserved are in an area separate from, yet in general proximity to, the quarters designed for the captain. The commander's quarters must at all times be adorned with an area that manifests liquid light. This is the universal substance that comprises the force of all that sustains life. While it is present everywhere and all souls have access to this force, it will only manifest for those who are the purest of channels and who have earned the right to its use and wisdom. The keys to accessing this at will are the three ageless wonders: faith, hope, and charity. Within these three concepts lie the mysteries of the universe, but few earthlings have awakened enough to find the true value of these words and their meanings. Let it be known that our commanders do not require sleep. These quarters, then, are only a courtesy which provides them with opportunities to gather, share moments of reunion with colleagues, and radiate the intensity of love and light they are known to provide. All other beings know when the commanders are in the closest proximity and are present aboard our starship. Their radiance announces them without any communication. It is honoring and uplifting to be adorned by such magnificence, and we are pleased to be working with such power and magnitude. So these commanders that they're referring to specifically, most of these are all Ascended Masters, and so when Ascended Masters are visiting their ship, those are the beings that they're referring to, bringing such a high frequency, and they're able to manipulate liquid light, and they need to reside in that frequency at all times. And so it's really important to remember that these are not individual beings. When you are at Ascended Master level, you are group consciousness, and they would not have a form. They would be able to change form into anything that they needed to in order to communicate with those that they are around. And this understanding is really important for your own soul development as you journey back to oneness and consciousness, that these commanders are not separate beings, and many of you are part of these Ascended Master groups, and so you are there and you are here. Which is why there is no time and everything is happening all at once. You are already ascended. All right, moving on to the crew's quarters. In an area of the ship that is not in the general proximity of the captain's and commander's quarters is a section of the vessel reserved for the crew's quarters. This area is designed with magnification of sound and color frequencies to stimulate intelligence and levels of evolution. As we reported earlier, each of our assigned posts and levels of responsibilities is selected by our frequency levels. It is these frequency levels that we continually sustain and raise for our own and the collective evolution. The crew's quarters is an area that supports the integrity of each of our frequency levels. Using a holistic concept of light and sound frequencies, any crew member may enter this area and be immediately supported by the frequency that is recorded to match that being's level of development. The programming for chosen subject areas is encoded in this holistic design, and those who are the historians will immediately receive their intellectual nourishment as they are residing simultaneously next to the being who is dining on the technical knowledge of the universe. This area is not the same as the learning facility that we briefly described earlier. This is the holistic chamber for supporting the integrity of the evolutionary process of each crew member. This is designed mainly for the crew, but any being, including those from Earth or other planets, may enter this area. It is not a chamber. It is an area patterned after an important hologram that represents the universal mind. It is the heart and depth of creation. It is the understanding philosophy of the all. It is truth. The perfection of the design of the system is that it reaches the precise area of a being's mind in which there is a need. Needless to say, many of our new crew members use this area frequently. It is designed so that one can pass through it in a brief moment of time, or a longer stay is also accepted. There are no rules or procedures for using this area. There is only the concept that the crew's quarters exist for all. So obviously it's not a place for them to put personal objects or hang their clothes, and they've already described how they rarely need sleep. And so the crew's quarters is really a place for them to connect with the all that is and to receive anything that they need in their energy from the all that is. The Light Rejuvenation Chamber. This part of the ship produces the power that propels the starship. This function is critical for our journey, for if we did not have the means and ways to do this, we could not sustain our own life forms or the activities of our mission. The Light Rejuvenation Chamber is a small area that transforms energy from crystals we use for our main source of power to liquid light. In this transformational process, the energy is stored and, quote, recycled, unquote, so to speak, and used to support our efforts. Liquid light is drawn through the crystals from the universe and locked into the transformational process. It accepts and rejects no other form of energy or supplies, but is self-contained in this continuous cycle. There is no other purpose for this area. It is known to be our life support system. If we did not have this power source, we would not be able to complete our work. The Mechanism Chamber. A very complex area and one vital to our existence is the Mechanism Chamber that allows us easy access to many places outside our normal area of operations. We have several modes for operation that we can use. One mode is the process we use when we wish to transform our physical nature into another dimensional frequency. When we have a need to do this, we use this special chamber. It has the capability of recording our exact molecular structure, containing the program through hyperspace, and then reforming it in another location. What this is similar to on Earth is the decoding of the DNA and RNA molecular structures and the creating of a duplicate life form based upon that information. This chamber can hold the program of individual life forms indefinitely, so that even if there is a malfunction in the process of transporting us, we still can be brought back into our original form by the decoding process of the program. We much appreciate this advanced function of its design. This chamber is vital for areas where we have to work, but where we have not physically set foot. We use this chamber as a testing ground to decode a life form's genetic structure and then send a replica of that pattern to the surface of the planet we are visiting. We learn much about survival conditions of that space by the way the replica pattern operates. We are then able to make adjustments to our needs before we send our own to complete the assigned work. This area is also used to detect manifested defects that are occurring within a being's constitution. So from that standpoint, you might call it a medical facility. This chamber can detect malfunctions and reprogram them instantly. It has no biases, unlike the human doctors on your planet. It can detect the source of the malfunction immediately and prescribe solutions that are always exactly what the chamber ordered. It is because of this advanced engineering and scientific knowledge that we have no sickness on Arcturus or on our starship. We have yet to encounter a galaxy or constellation that had a defect we could not identify and rectify within our own beings by using this chamber. The engineering apparatus area. On the Earth plane, humans deem this area of their ships to be the most important, for they can see no support systems beyond the technical. On the 5th dimensional frequency, we also deem this to be an important part of the vessel, but we think that it ranks second in importance to those areas that support the life-raising frequencies of the mission. The engineering apparatus area is the section that maneuvers the ship between the 3rd, 4th, and 5th dimensions of time and space, but mainly through the 3rd and 5th dimensions. This section of the ship is designed for the subtle yet abrupt transition of magnetic frequency changes necessary for the ship to become visible and then non-visible to the human eye. While we can observe you and the energy force fields that are in operation at all times, you have a limited knowledge and a belief system that you can only see things in the 3rd dimensional frequency. While this is not totally accurate and true, if you believe this, therefore it becomes your reality. This area is equipped with a device that not only maneuvers the ship in and out of current affairs, but also has the capacity to change the intonation of the moment. This means it actually can change the tonal qualities of communication, exchange, and allow, or not allow, further communications to proceed, even though one does not see the vessel any longer. This section consists of what the engineers of your planet would love to investigate. It has the transitional frequencies and mechanisms that a scientist would be delighted to adapt to the present structures of the programs that are in place on Earth today. This section of the ship can also be operated by humans, if they should be invited to do so or wish to come aboard. Other areas of the starship, because of their energy, intensifications, and vibrational shields, would not allow the intrusion of an Earthling. We have in your past brought souls aboard our vessel for the purpose of exchanging theoretical and practical knowledge. We also call this section the transitional mode, for it allows air to flow through the chambers when we are manifest in the 3rd dimensional frequency. This is an important function, for air is the vessel or the holder of the liquid light that we use for our main source of energy and propulsion. It contains the electronic substance that facilitates transitional changes from the 3rd to the 5th dimensional frequencies. It can only be used to its maximum power with humans who have cleared their channels and who are in the primary mode of becoming one with this force. The same force is also available around Arcturus and our star system. It is not contained in what you would call the air around your planet. Our force is contained within the energy of the gases that puts the violet protective shield around our planet, and which is used to filter the highest and lowest rays. It is important to note or clarify here that this force is contained in everything. It is important to restate that this force is everything. But the distinction we are making is that there are certain channels or ways in which humans or beings from our system can use this force more readily than others. We tell the individuals on Earth that breath and air is the purest forms, contain the primary way in which a soul can access this liquid light and fuel for evolution. On Arcturus, we absorb this force in a more concentrated form in our survival patterns. This is because we have a screening device in the violet rays that allows this energy to be absorbed into our beingness. The Earth in the New Age will also be experiencing a similar concentration of this energy. As we have said many times, the Earth is being consumed by the great central sun. When this occurs, and it already is occurring at an incredibly rapid speed, then this will automatically move and position the beloved Terra into a place in the universe that provides a permanent higher vibrational frequency to nurture it. In this higher positioning will become a new atmosphere and way for the inhabitants of the planet to use this energy source more readily in the fifth dimension, which will be its new culture. We can only tell you that this process is a delightful and beautiful one. We honor this part of our ship that provides for the enjoyment and ease of the transition between the dimensions for you and us. The engineering apparatus area that sweeps in the air and electronic force of your existence provides us with another source of light and power for our own existence. We truly can identify with the saying on your planet, "It is like a breath of fresh air." For every time we experience the motion and nourishment this section of the ship provides us, we rejoice in the rejuvenated spirits that we obtain. If more Earthlings would understand the power in the breath, they would make a more conscious effort to change their breathing habits. If more Earthlings would change their breathing habits, there would be less sickness, more happiness, and more wealth and prosperity on the planet. For breath holds the key to mastering the electronic force of the universe and the power of manifestation in the fifth dimension. For those who conquer this understanding, the earth will be theirs to inherit. For those who do not, the earth will be theirs to leave. A soul cannot be breathing deeply and relaxing in the force and still channel fear and hate. This is not possible when the spirit and practice of the breath are managed as they are intended. One cannot conquer the lessons of the fifth dimensional frequency in a state of fear or stress, for that frequency supports the love and light of creation. Therefore, if the souls who are channeling fears and lower vibrations wish for a way in which to free themselves from their bondage, the first step that they must accomplish is that of changing their breathing. If they try this, the force, which is truly much more intelligent than they are anyway, will automatically begin the transformation process. But souls must choose which one they will master. There are only two choices. There is love and light, or there is fear. Choose, our dearest sisters and brothers of the universe, and make the choice before the portal of time into this new dimensional frequency closes and makes a choice for you. But if you analyze this further, the bottom line is that if this is allowed to happen, then ultimately it has been you who has made the choice. With this explanation complete, allow us to proceed with the next area of our ship, which is called the engineering crystallization area. Little is really understood about crystals on Earth today. In previous civilizations, such as the one of Atlantis, many scholars and the spiritually elite understood the use and care of these important minerals. The term minerals is perhaps not accurate, for the silicon in the crystal is indeed a powerful communicator, which sends an electromagnetic impulse signal to and from its center to other transmitters and receivers. It is more equivalent to an energy source, but your Earth scientists have integrated the substance of the crystal rock with the other stones comprised of minerals. In the part of the starship called the engineering crystallization area, crystals are transformed and energized for purposes that relate only to our mission. In this area, there is much hyperactivity on the levels of static and propulsion. The static is created during the transformational process. The propulsion is acquired through the momentum of the energy that is programmed into the crystalline structures. Many of these crystalline structures are used to make contact with power points on Earth. We find that the need for energizing many spots on and within the Earth is an ongoing duty. We also find that Earth is constantly changing its influx of magnetic energy impulses. And this has a tendency to shift the polar points and connectors that we depend upon for communication. Therefore, we have to continue to program and create new crystalline structures, and they are used for the various communicative aspects of our mission. There are many points on Earth that historically have been light-receiving areas. We use these power points to sense changing vibrational frequencies. We take the readings and use them to give us an indication as to just how much intensity we need to channel to the Earth at any given time to help it remain stabilized. As many children of light know, there has been an ongoing crusade of light frequencies directed to Earth to assist it in its transition into the new age. These higher frequencies have been directed to the planet with our help, and we are presently processing much information with these frequencies to help souls move their consciousness to a level that is considered higher. The Earth receives this information through vortex areas of electromagnetic energies and distributes the forces throughout the planet by the ley lines and grid line force fields. These have been described accurately by some as acupuncture points for the living Earth body. We also use this description for this information helps us to address this concept. The points of power are those that are in tune with the crystalline electromagnetic energy signals or impulses. And it is these force fields that carry the higher thought forms of the light. We usher dosages onto the planet at regular frequencies. Then we give the humans on Earth the time it takes to adjust to the new higher frequency. Within a planned, respectable length of time, another dosage is administered. This process continues throughout the years. We do this because the human consciousness needs to adjust slowly to the higher vibrational frequencies that the new age will demand. We do this because the human psyche needs time to make the adjustment on an emotional level. If this change were administered in one full dosage, it would cause such a shock that many would not recover from its effects. Therefore, we take the process slowly and with much deliberation. There are many aspects to this process, and they all are implemented with the use of crystals. The crystals that are manufactured, so to speak, by us aboard our ships allow for signals and higher frequencies to be transmitted to the planet. We produce many different forms of these crystals, and we also register many different programs within them. This programming allows for the storage and retrieval of information, just as Earth scientists are now beginning to discover in their work in Silicon Valley. Often, we have had to implant gigantic crystalline beds of crystals in select locations around the planet. When we have had to do this, these centers have been spots on the planet where much UFO activity has resulted. The reason that these spots have become what some would call communication bases, and we need to frequent these locations to obtain information and data that is being received. Our ship has the capabilities to produce many different kinds of crystalline structures, and we use this part of the vessel frequently. In fact, if we ever had a malfunction in this area, the completion of our mission would be in serious jeopardy. Our commanders do not hesitate to abort missions that are not productive. But in the case of our mission to this sector of the galaxy, the work we are doing is too important, and we find we cannot afford to be lax in anything that we accomplish. This area of the starship is protected with great care. It is in an area that carries much significance for the physical survival of the inhabitants of the planet. If we could not produce and program the crystalline structures as we do, the Earth would not be as far along in its consciousness evolution as it is. That is truth. The influx setting. Before we go any further with these explanations, allow us to examine a concept that you all understood on Earth. The concept I speak of demands a regimented approach to following and obeying orders, even though one's heart does not agree. We believe that you call this approach to running an organization your military. Is that not so? We find this approach to running a civilization to be one of barbarism and control. But please note that in this expression of feeling, we are not calling humans of Earth barbarians. What we are saying is that any system of command that does not allow for individuals to express their freedoms and free wills is a system that is not supporting the God concept. God made all humans in the likeness of God, and also endowed them with the power to co-create the universe. In this power comes the mundane obligation of working together and learning lessons that continually support the highest standards expressed on the path to enlightenment. One of those lessons is to learn to allow another the same freedom and expression of will that you enjoy. For it is in the completion of those lessons that one earns the right to higher states of enlightenment. If a soul does not learn to think for himself or herself and blindly follows another's will, then that soul jeopardizes its own karmic debts and responsibilities. It cannot tolerate the lower negativity that occurs when another forces its free will over it. That soul then assumes the lower vibratory frequency just because of allowing another to convince it of a selected behavior. In choosing to join with another, stronger force, one helps create another's dream. Even if this is a collective dream, if the energy level that forms it is lower than the vibratory rate of the soul who participates in it, the heavier energy is always that which wins and lowers the frequency of the other. This is an important principle to learn on the path to enlightenment, for it is the basis for the truths that are hidden on the earth today. The truths that one uses to conduct behavior in life are those which may be in conflict with the truths of the highest source of wisdom emanating from the divine. The choice of truths can only be made by the individual soul, because of its progress on the path to enlightenment can only be measured against itself. Even when decisions for thoughts and actions are based upon giving in to a lower force, but much stronger will, the choice is ultimately always that of the individual soul. With this explanation as the introduction, let us further explain what the influx setting of our starship is. This is not actually an area of the ship, but is instead a monitoring device that allows for each being to experience and calculate the vibratory frequency it has achieved. Since we are a civilization that purports mastery over our emotions, we use exterior devices to aid us in our evolutionary development. This monitoring device is one such instrument, used on an individual basis. The results of these continual readings are shared with no one except the elders. It is the elders who give counsel and the reports that assist each on the journey. We use this device on a regular basis, but not frequent, for we have little need to monitor our physical and light bodies more regularly than that. The reason this device was installed on the starship was because when we are in foreign atmospheres, we have a need for regulation and feedback regarding our existence and well-being. This is just another way to assure that we stay on track with our mission and not let the ascended and the godlight down. The influx setting records our own earned vibratory frequency and compares it with our own reading. Only we are responsible for our own path, and we understand this without doubt. We have earned the right to total free will and to obedience. We share these traits with others in our civilization because we understand the differences between oneness and separateness. That makes the difference in the effectiveness of our two systems is not the understanding of good and evil, but the understanding of oneness. We know many earthlings will not understand these words until they have mastered a certain vibratory frequency themselves. When this has occurred, they will understand the power of these words. The Increment Learning Facility for the Elders. The last 3 areas of the starship are designed for bringing universal law to civilizations that are entering the 5th dimensional frequency. This area of the ship is reserved for the connection back to divine wisdom and truth. It supports only that function, and no one but the elders and the ascended masters are allowed to enter. It is designed to support the life connection to the liquid light, and also nourishment for the soul. It is what you call the holiest of places, and is likened to a temple on the earth plane. The word increment is used because each of the elders is responsible for bringing into the reality of the plan one segment of information, and then measuring the success of its application through our activities by the increments that are accomplished. As we have said, the beloved Terra is destined to enter the 7th Golden Age, which is an era that will be unsurpassed in the records of your historical documents. This will come to pass because of the planning and constant dedication of the ascended beings. This will also come to pass because it is the divine law and will of God. Each part of this plan must be monitored and completed in steps. Aboard our starship, only the elders, the commanders, and the ascended masters have access to the entire plan. And of this group, only the elders have the direct connection to the plan that is given to the others in smaller steps. Therefore, they must be protected and nurtured in a sacred area with no fear of energy contamination. It is this area of the starship that protects them from this potential danger. We have situated this section of the starship in the highest, most centered section of the vessel. As we explained earlier, the commander's bridge is situated on the lower area. Even the symbolism of positioning of these 2 areas is important. We honor the divine laws and divine will first and above all others. This is the protective frequency for the beings that we care for. This is the protection that has raised and honored us to one of the highest positions of enlightenment in the universe. We call this area of the ship that which bestows the truth and the light on all. Therefore, the positioning of this area extends its influence to the entire ship, from the highest point down through the vessel. This is by design. This is the way to the truth. The debriefing room for the children of light from Earth. This section of the starship is not like the one described earlier. This area has a special function that is used to plan and reawaken the earthbound ambassadors to their missions and journeys on Earth. In the dream state, we work continually with the messengers from the Ascended Masters and those who are on assignment to the planet Earth. This is a special chamber for etheric conferences with souls who are completing their sections of the plan while serving out Earth embodiments. While many of these souls feel isolated on the planet and wander with the feeling that they do not belong, we assure them in the sessions in this chamber that we are with them and have not deserted them. The paths that some have taken to the earth plane are not easy ones. It is not a simple task to change the consciousness of an entire world in the remaining time that is left. Many souls are unclear as to their connections between the higher forces and sources on the planet. As a result, many of them are floating aimlessly in the ocean of energy surrounding the planet and uncertain as to how to find their way home. This chamber is one which is used to restore these connections as well as to bring into focus further development of the plan. This chamber supports the activity by providing children of light with a process of recall. Many of them are presently moving into a space whereby they will have recall of some of their past lives, and also will begin to see glimpses of the future. Time and space are barriers no longer, as they are opening up to newer frequencies. Much of this is made possible through our assistance to them in this chamber. At first, the planning sessions were not immediately revealed, not even to those who were in the sessions. Then, later, the opening up process began to unfold. With this increment of remembrance and discovery, the souls have slowly begun to remember why they are here. With this remembrance comes the slow recall of their missions. For all children of light, the mission is to bring wisdom and ancient truths and knowledge of the divine back to the planet. To accomplish this, they will be positioned in different occupational areas in different countries. Victory will entail a collective effort by the many. It will be an army of forces backed by the highest of forces in the heavens that will conduct this reawakening for the masses. The legions of light workers, as we call them here, will awaken the planet to higher forms of consciousness. They will hail from all over and will work to bring the connections of the many to a higher frequency. In this higher frequency will come enlightenment and the peace for which the beloved Terra has so long yearned. We are the life and support system for these workers. We monitor, assist, and support them in many ways. We are an invisible umbilical cord and are referred to as their connection to the home from whence they came. They are the strongest of humans and have a reserve of energy and heartfulness that most humans on the planet do not understand. They carry the sign of the golden star of Abraham above their foreheads and are marked with a distinction and a frequency unmatched by many. They serve the masses and carry many burdens of love. They are of the divine. We support them and carry their banners aboard our ships and rejoice at their progress when the ego of humans surrenders to the Christ self because of the work of one of our children of light. For that is their mission. They are sent to the beloved Terra to help raise its vibrations from the negative masses. Whenever one soul is measured to be of purer heart and is moving on the path of centeredness and alignment, then we know that we in the Mother Earth are one step closer to the destiny of peace and harmony in the new age. There will be a time, though, when this period of self-initiated purification will no longer exist. It is at this time that the human form who is not centered in love and light will have to vacate to search for a new home. This chamber is the only home the children of light know at this time. It is a chamber that supports them in their quest and on the troubled seas upon which they walk. In the dream state, they wish to return to the home they remember as their permanent root structure. But in this assignment, they understand they must complete their work. They are dutiful souls and commanders in their own right. They are of the highest, as was our beloved Jesus, Yeshua, who walked the plains before us. We note what the masses did to him in the name of justice, love, and mercy. The coding in the souls of the children of light is strong. The decoding while taking a little longer is equally as strong. Once information is unlocked within the heart and consciousness, the programming is irreversible. To summarize briefly then, this chamber of the starship is reserved with love for those children of light who are missionaries on a planet that is foreign to them. We honor this chamber and look forward to our sessions with them. While few of them remembered their continued work with us, we can assure you that it continues on and makes an incredible impact on the planet. That is the section that I go back to again and again and again. And every single time, I just have this feeling, this overwhelming feeling of love, that we were not forgotten, that we're not actually lost, that we are supported, that we are loved, that all is well. The last chamber is the chamber for the holistic concept of universal law. We conclude our introduction to our home in the ethers with an explanation of the chamber that is the epitome of all that we have achieved. It is the chamber that represents the form and frequency of the divine. You might liken it to a shrine or a museum, but to us it is the all. It represents the remembrance of our existence and the journey to the great central sun. This shrine is the remembrance of the future past and the present future. It is the oneness of the all, and it is the void. It is difficult to describe this concept in any other terms without describing its form, so let us take a moment and do so. For one thing, there is a vibratory frequency and color display in this area that is above the third-dimensional manifest plane. The colors and sound frequencies in this dimension are truly those which are ecstasy and joy for the beings who participate in its beauty. It contains the range of highest honors to those who surpass the 7th level. It is the proudest of the emotions and resonates truth. It is the dimension that awaits the souls in truth. Our shrine and chamber is a constant reminder of the purpose for which we serve. There are no words spoken in this chamber. There is not even a need for telepathic communication. There are no dimensional forms manifested. There are only forms of light and sound, and emotional frequencies of the highest truths that are in existence in the universe. These are the truths that Thoth tried to convey to the initiates in Egypt. They are above the manifest plane of the mundane, but once mastered, can turn the human form into the co-creator of the universe of love and light. Once souls become this intensity of energy, there is nothing in the physical world that appeals to them any longer. That is one of the interpretations that our beloved Jesus, Yeshua, tried to convey to the masses when he said that to come with him, they must leave all of their earthly attachments behind. For this form of brilliance and happiness cannot be matched in the third-dimensional world. This area of our starship is thus dedicated to our origin. It is from whence we came and to whence we eventually shall return. It is the all, and the reminder that we are here to serve and to conquer. Our level of conquering is, however, to bring as many souls as possible who wish to come to this nirvana. So once again, our interpretation of a word does not quite match that in your language. Would you have defined conquer as such? As we suspected. With this explanation now complete, let us end this discussion by expressing our sincere appreciation to you for your interest in our existence and life support systems. There are many on Earth who wonder and are curious, but are not unselfish enough to dedicate their time or energy to finding the answers that would nurture their inquisitive natures. Instead, they critique others, judge others' efforts, and find ways to disavow all that does not fit into their comfort zones. We suspect that you also have done so with some of the content. In spite of the fact that this information might have been strange or caused you some discomfort, we applaud your dedication to the continuing investigation. For us, this could be a breakthrough in the barriers that keep our civilizations apart. But that decision is left to the readers of this information. We hope that if they take our earlier advice and read these pages with their hearts, that they may find the answers to their questions. The reader will only find that comfort and those answers in their hearts. We say no more. Thank you again for this invitation to discuss our starship with you. We hope that you will find this technical information and instruction to be of benefit to you. I am Herdenitic, Elder of the Starship Athena and Trusted One of the Tribunal Council. Thank you, Herdenitic, for channeling those words in what we perceive to be all those years ago, and yet just tapping into the Arcturians, I can feel that it was just a moment ago to them that they sent all of that information. And that is only one chapter of we, the Arcturians, sending a lot of gratitude to the souls of Norma, Betty, and Cynthia, who were the original channelers of this book and of all of these sessions with the Arcturians. Their words are full of technicality, things beyond our comprehension, and yet wisdom and divine love. So much love for this planet, for the inhabitants, for you, for me. I feel their love and the radiance of it, and I am so grateful to them for supporting us while we are here on this planet, and especially for the support that they have provided in my own life and journey. There are so many questions that I have for them as we are now in 2024, 40 years later than when they first started their transmissions that became this book. We are in a totally different place vibrationally. And as I receive that message from the Archangels, that we are doing so well, that everything is going so well, I am eager to bring more updates directly from the Arcturians. If you are listening on YouTube, or if you would like to jump onto YouTube, you can leave your question for the Arcturians in the comments. And I will be putting all of the questions together and doing a live channeling with the Athena ship, and then another one with the Lightbringer and my sending council. And I know for certain that they are eager to reconnect with many of you and to give you updates on the Earth's ascension. If you know someone who might enjoy this episode or be intrigued by it or be awakened by it, please send it to them. Thank you so much for listening and for receiving this transmission. And you already know that I will see you on the next one.